Welcome back to iRacingTV. I'm your host Sean Siff. I hope you enjoyed the FW31 video we just finished. All of us here at iRacing are excited to let you know that this car is going to be joining the iRacing service in November. On this episode of iRacingTV, we're going to begin with recap footage from the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and we're also going to cover the Road iRacing.com Drivers World Championship. Later in this episode, we're going to introduce a new segment called How To. In the How To section, we're going to describe a feature of iRacing that's going to help make you a better driver. Finally, we're going to end the episode with coverage from our iRacing World Tour Brickyard 400 event. This was a unique event for us because we raised money for the Livestrong Foundation. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of iRacingTV. Last month saw a big change at the top of the points standings in the NASCAR iRacing.com Drivers World Championship. With one race remaining in the series, it looks like Brad Davies and Richard Towler are going to take the fight all the way down to the wire. Here's Daryl Morley, Tim Terry, and Nim Cross with highlights of the last two rounds from Michigan and Atlanta.
Racing with us here at Michigan International Speedway. They talk about full fields, and we have a packed house here tonight for round number 14. Again, the NASCAR iRacing.com World Championship Series. I can't wait to get this thing underway. Pace car pulls in Richard Towler from the pole as we get set to go green. Green flag in the air, loves the tire spin, further behind Towler. No such problems for Richard Towler.
Yeah, Towler gets a big jump heading down the corner number one. Derek Wood, about 5 car lengths behind him, falls into second place, followed by Brad Davies.
Green flag flies. We are back underway with a tire spin for Derek Wood. Towler again with the advantage. Towler, Wood, and Davies, your top three. Nose to tail, heading into turns 1 and 2. Behind Brad Davies, we find Ray Alfala side by side with the number 19 machine of Josh Parker. Parker down on the inside of the number 4 machine of Ray Alfala. Now Parker drops back in line behind Alfala. Alfala running that high side. A little bit more room to get on the gas a little bit quicker. You're not having to bind the car down as a result. Josh Parker unable to complete that pass. Looks like things will be a little bit flip-flopped, and that's okay. Big last time by the stripe, and Wood looks like he's closing that gap a little bit. He is. He has shaved 2/100ths of a second off. Wood takes a peek to the inside on Towler, entering the corner, entering turn number 1. Derek Wood takes the top spot from Richard Towler, just powers by the number 5 machine. Wood, your brand new race leader down the backstretch. Richard Towler starting to throw up the sign. Towler says he's decided that now is the time for a green flag pit stop. Here comes the 5 of Towler. Second place driver in the pits. Richard Towler will come down and make a pit stop. Next time by, it'll be Derek Wood, your leader, making his pit stop. Now's the time. You can make a pit stop. You can go the rest of the distance on that run. As now here comes Davies. Brad Davies comes down pit road. Davies makes a run. Pit stop for Brad Davies. The yellow flag flies as Sandeep Banerjee goes around and brings out the yellow flag right after the green flag pit stops had pretty much cycled through. Green flag flies. We are back underway. Wood will lead him down into turns 1 and 2.
Derek Wood was last week's race winner, first-time race winner last week, so he's going for number 2 this week.
Nice battle a little bit further back in the field as the number 10 machine of Schoenberg picks up a couple spots, as does the number 1 machine of Brad Davies. Both of those drivers passing up Thomas Hazard. So Schoenberg up into spot number 2. Brad Davies from 5th all the way up into 3rd. Connor McKenzie starting to carve his way up into the race field as well, trying to get up into that top 5 position. Oh, business has picked up, as they say. 3 and 4 wide here at Michigan International Speedway. Brad Davies picks up spot number 2, almost gives a hip check to Brian Schoenberg. Davies has decided Playtime is over. Closing in on the 20 to go mark. 22 laps to go. This time by the stripe as they work their way through 3 and 4. Schoenberg not playing. Schoenberg works the inside, trying to get a run on Brad Davies. Davies runs that high line. He will cement the pass in second spot and set his sights on Derek Wood. 5 laps remain here in this one, and the battle rages on. Sheehan does not want to finish behind Ray Alfala. Yeah, it's only one spot. Sheehan's out of the hunt for the championship, and Ray Alfala in the top 10 in points. That does not matter to Steve Sheehan. He wants to beat his longtime friend and racing buddy, Ray Alfala, in the number 4 machine. Sheehan working on Ray Alfala, and right behind them, here comes T-Lew. Thomas Lewandowski in the number 9 machine. The number Richard Towler working his tail off. Talk about putting in overtime. Richard Towler restarted 18th after that yellow flag and the decision to pit. Now Towler looks to the high side, looking for third. Nice run up through the field for Richard Towler. Unfortunately, I think Towler's just flat out going to run out of time. He is not going to catch Derek Wood, nor will Brad Davies. 13, John Gorlinski has some difficulties as we have a yellow flag on the racetrack, and this will lock down the win more than likely for Derek Wood. I don't believe we will have time to get back to green flag racing. Derek Wood will likely take home the win as John Gorlinski meets the wall off from turn number 4 and lost it on his lonesome. Tough break. Oh, we can certainly see for ourselves how much fun it is. And, you know, since we've just finished scanning a track, and it means that iRacing should have, as the finish comes in, Derek Wood will take home the win, followed by Brad Davies, Brian Schoenberg, Richard Towler, and Josh Parker, your top 5. And it's Thomas Hatcher, Ray Alfala, Steve Sheehan, Thomas Lewandowski, and Jesse Atkinson, your top 10. So, and we'll see exactly what happens when that green flag drops here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. A few drivers will be starting from pit road. That might be the smartest and safest place to start when these drivers hit turn 1 at full steam, working up through the gears, especially on a very loose racetrack. Pace car is off. We get set to go. Green flag flies. We are underway. Gorlinski on the outside gets a nice jump on that initial start. Gorlinski will lead him down into turns 1 and 2.
Gorlinski has about a car length lead right now on Jim Connell Jr. in a second place. Looks like that low line going to come through. Jesse Atkinson in the 1, trying to get that third place position. Meanwhile, behind them, they're side by side.
Gorlinski, your leader. Connell sits in second. Jesse Atkinson, number 1 ranked driver in this particular race, sits in third. Ray Alfala right now running 4th spot. He's already picked up 2 positions from his initial starting position. Through the field here, you can sort of catch up with where your favorite drivers are running. We're going to give you a full field rundown. Ray Alfala is your leader. Brad Davies sits in second. John Gorlinski is third. 4th is Josh Parker. Running out your top 5 is Derek Wood.
6th through 10th right now sees the 5 of Richard Towler. In 7th is Thomas Lewandowski. 8th place belongs to the 25 of Steve Sheehan. Connor McKenzie in 9th. Rounding out your top 10, the 4 of Josh Berry.
In-lap traffic. I think that might be a mistake for Davies. That might be his best opportunity to get by Ray Alfala. But let's not forget, I think right now, Tim, Brad Davies is thinking championship.
Maybe he's foreseeing something in his future with all this lap traffic, maybe. But Chris May moves underneath the number 3 of Ray Alfala, and here comes Davies. Davies has a beat on that number 3 for the lead. Oh boy, but the 5 underneath there, John Gorlinski. That's a great battle for position. Davies, Alfala, they know how to turn right as they do left, and right now they have been the class of the field. But I tell you what, we got a great battle brewing here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Here comes Schoenberg. Schoenberg has turned up the heat in the last couple of laps. He's looking over Towler for position number 5. Racers are a little bit hungry. They want a little bit more, whatever they can get right now. That 10 looking over the 14 for position number 4.
Schoenberg dives down to the inside of the number 14 machine of Gorlinski. Oh, Gorlinski into the outside wall. Schoenberg and Gorlinski came together. John Gorlinski hard into the outside wall, and almost like clockwork in the last 10 laps, Tim, we find ourselves with a yellow flag.
Brad Davies on the pit road, along with Derek Wood, Ray Alfala, Richard Towler, all the leaders down. Who's it going to be off pit road first? The 3 pulls away from his box. Looks like Ray Alfala going to win the race off.
I believe it very well could be the most interesting restart. It also could be the final restart for John Gorlinski if he does what a lot of us believe he might be about to do. I don't think he'll do it, but we'll wait and see. Green flag flies. Oh, Parker up into the outside into Wood. Wood gets put in the outside wall, as looks like we're going to have an immediate yellow flag right on the restart, and Gorlinski's going to continue to lead this thing.
Wow, what a turn of events. It just looked like Josh Parker put the hammer down, and Josh Parker's car wanted to go towards the wall. That's a tough break for Josh Parker and all those drivers involved in it. But John Gorlinski might be in the catbird seat right now on lap 157. He's going to be out in front and leading this thing.
Our finish line. Pace car is off. They get up to speed here. Green flag flies. We are underway. Ray Alfala was close, and I mean close. Look at Schoenberg way down into the grass trying to get around Gorlinski. Schoenberg clears Gorlinski. Can the 14 even make the corner?
Oh boy, these guys are at it for the victory.
Ray Alfala around. Alfala in the outside wall. The number 3 machine. Ray Alfala has just pounded the outside wall, and it's going to be Davies battling with Sheehan. Sheehan leads it across the stripe in front of Davies. Steve Sheehan may have just stolen this win as the yellow flag flies. Steve Sheehan looks like he's taking the win. And will take the win in the number 25 machine. Amazing job by Steve Sheehan. Davies holds on for second, followed by Schoenberg, Lewandowski, Towler, then Hudson, then Justin Trombley, Brian Blackford, and Jesse Atkinson, and Pedro Mojica to round out your top 10.
With one race left in the season, the iRacing Drivers' World Championship has crowned its first champion, Gregor Hutu. Richard Towler has also locked himself in for second place and will pocket his share of the prize. But there is still a very tight battle for third between Orion teammates Ilka Hapala and Sean Purdy. Tom Beattie has the highlight from two of the most historic tracks in iRacing, Silverstone and Road America.
Thanks, Sean. Round 13 brings the drivers of the iRacing Road Championship to the first repeat track of this 18-week campaign, and easily the driver's favorite up and down the pit lane. It's the 4-mile natural terrain road course known as Road America. Gregor Hutu on pole once again, his 13th this season, but Richard Towler has slowly been closing the gap and once again starts right next to Hutu with less than 1/10 of a second difference in qualifying time. This is Towler's 7th number 2 start this season. So your top 10 are Hutu and Towler up front. Hapala with his best qualifying start of the year in third, just ahead of his points rival Ben Cornett. Marcus Sari and David Williams, both pro-level drivers, make the top 10 and career best starts for both of them. This is David's rookie start of the series. As the Mustang pace car peels off, the green flag flies. Watch Hapala make the Scandinavian choo-choo train out of pole sitter Gregor Hutu and locks his nose under Hutu's gearbox and then slides in front of Towler to take second into turn 1. Then mayhem once again in turn 1 when Tony Legren and David Sawa skid off the track and into that slippery grass at 160 miles an hour. Out of control, these guys absolutely plow through drivers Alice Simonek and Andrea Baldi. Seconds later down in turn 3, it looks like Milos Milakovic lunges under braking and nails the back end of Dion Vergers. Also forced out in the grass was pro qualifier Klaus Ellenbrand. Both drivers would be able to continue and finish their race. First time down into turn 5 on lap 1 and the best spot for overtaking. We watch Marcus Sari and Derek Wood taking it to each other in turn 5 as they head up the hill to turn 6. Again, let's watch that replay of that mess in turn 1 on board with Legren. Sawa turns it into the grass. It's a rough ride and a tough break. He and Serwa and Baldy would not be able to continue. Back up front to the Sorry Wood battle. On board 7th place Sean Purdy as we go around the carousel and down through that ultra fast kink. Flat out down through Kettle Bottoms up towards Canada Corner. Named because of its due north orientation. If you go off here, you end up in Canada. Let's go back and watch the replay of the start again. The lead group, that's Purdy in that blue and white car, just failing to sneak down the inside of that red car of pro driver David Williams into turn 3 for 7th place. Jump ahead, Wood has now fallen back into the clutches of series rookie David Williams. Wood blocks the inside, so Williams pulls the gutsiest move of the race and goes around the outside of Wood in turn 1. They touch wheels at 100 miles an hour through there, and that will bobble Wood and allow Sean Purdy to get by. Sending Woods back to 8th, Wood would struggle, but still bring home a top 10 finish for the day. Lap 3, Ilka Happala goes wide into turn 5. That's exactly the wrong turn to do that in, and Richard Towler moves into 2nd place. But the fight went in there. Watch just 8 laps later in the very same turn, Ilka Happala does a textbook outbraking maneuver right here onto Richard Towler as they head down into turn 5. Once again, trying to take 2nd place from Towler. But wait, there's more to come. Make a note of Ben Cornett back there in the background. Cornett able to leapfrog both of those drivers during the pit stop exchange. Happala to the outside of Cornett. Cornett on the inside into turn 1. It's hard to tell if there was contact, but Cornett loses 2 places to Towler, and Happala manages to keep it straight ahead and out of the grass. Nicely done. And so, with 13 wins, 13 poles, Gregor Hutu once again takes the win. Ilka Happala, after a long streak of 4th place finishes rather, finally gets a season best 2nd. Towler 3rd. Ben Cornett manages a 4th place for Team Redline, but will lose ground to Happala in the championship points chase. And Sean Purdy from Team Orion rounds out the top 5. So here are your race standings. Series rookie David Williams manages a 6th place. John Prather with a series best 10th. Here are your championship standings after 13 rounds. Of course, Gregor Hutu and Richard Towler still 1 and 2. But look at the fight for 3rd. Cornett and Happala in a dead heat after 13 rounds, with Team Orion, Sean Purdy and Darren Marsh both less than 30 points back. Brian Heitcotter, the lone flag bearer for the Team Podium Assault Squad, sits in 9th, while Team Redline members McLean and Barch are in serious danger of dropping out of the top 10. Round 14 as we head across the big pond to a quiet little World War II airport in a sleepy little town called Silverstone. A wide flat track that is a gem to some and a lump of coal to others provided us with some excellent side-by-side action. The big story right out of the gates was after 13 straight pole positions, Gregor Hutu will start in the unfamiliar spot of 2nd place, when during qualifying, Hutu just ran out of time and Richard Towler was able to grab a pole away from the dominating Finn. So here are your top 10 starters. Jesse Nieminen with a great showing in 4th, only 13 1/1000ths back from Happala. Vergers and Purdy make up row 3. Cornett in a championship fight with Happala earns 7th. Besides Blake Townend, Jake Sturgis and Mauro Basellier round out the top 10. It's always a tight fit into Cops the first time by. Towler gets a good jump on the green flag, but it looks like Jake Sturgis goes spinning off into Cops. He doesn't hit anything, but in the background it looks like there's some others involved. Watch the leaders on the right as they make their way through Chapel and down the fast hanger straightaway, while on the left, sim racing legend Max Sintel is forced into some unconventional lines. We'll go back and watch a replay of the start in just a second. Watch the lower part of your screen as it looks like Mauro Basellier gets into the back of Sturgis and nearly costs Darren Marsh his race. All 3 drivers were able to continue on. Sturgis would finish 16th, Marsh 11th, Basellier a distant 21st. Jump on board Blake Townend in a fight for 7th place with Team Redline's Ben Cornett into the tricky Vale Club section. quick glance at the leaders, but let's take a look once again at the great car control from Team Orion's Darren Marsh. A replay back at the start. Darren Marsh avoids the Sturgis-Basellier contact from his perspective, and then on board from the Brad Davies seat. Nice job by Darren. At the end of lap 1, Richard Towler, for the first time this season, will lead the first lap, and he would maintain that position for the entire first stint. Action further back on lap 6, where we see Matteo Calistani dive inside the falling Basellier, who must have damaged his car during that hit with Sturgis on lap 1. This also allows Ray Alfala to get beside him out of club, where traction is so difficult, side by side down the straightaway as they head into Abbey. Alfala on the inside, Basellier on the outside. Basellier has to brake early, and watch Derek Wood slip underneath him and take that position away from Basellier. Down into Priory and Brooklands as the hard-charging Wood makes quick work of Ray Alfala. This isn't a popular passing zone, but Woods makes it stick. Some very good heads-up driving by Alfala as well. Jump ahead to lap 17. Gregor Hutu has closed the gap almost to 0 on Richard Towler as Towler makes his early pit stop. Hutu then does what any championship leader would do. Hutu passes him as he enters the pits. He turns 3 very solid lap times on old tires. He would pit and emerge almost a full second ahead of Richard Towler. There he will remain till the end of the race. But watch as he exits the pits. You can see Towler right here at the top of the screen, just coming past pit exit as Hutu enters Maggots. So while his perfect record has now been thwarted, Gregor Hutu does pull off a strategic victory. That's 14 for 14 as he continues to astonish us with his mad driving skills. Towler finishes second, a full 6 seconds back. Teammates Hapola and Purdy finished 3rd and 4th. That'll put Hapola in a solid 3rd in the championship ahead of Ben Cornett, breaking the tie they left to Road America with. But a skirmish right up to the end here with Jesse Nieminen and Dion Vergers. They exit side by side out of Brooklands, in through Luffield. Watch as Jesse Nieminen, just able to get the power down a little better, will take 5th place. Dion Vergers will settle for 6th. So your top 10 shows Blake Townend finishing 7th, up from 8th place in his start. Ben Cornett needed a good finish today, but could only manage 9th. Derek Wood clawed his way up from 14th to finish 10th. So after 14 rounds, Gregor Hutu still leads by a massive margin over Richard Towler. Hapola moves into sole possession of 3rd with a few good finishes in the final rounds. Sean Purdy could even overtake Ben Cornett for 3rd place in the championship. Vergers closes the gap to Marsh in a tight battle for 7th, but the rest remain unchanged. I'm Tom Beatty for iRacingTV.
Hi, I'm Ian Berwick. I'm one of the vehicle dynamics engineers here at iRacing.com. Today we're going to talk about the Delta split timing system that we have in the sim, but we're going to give you a little sneak preview of a car that we're rolling out, and it's actually the new Mazda MX-5 Miata Cup car that we run here in the US in the MX-5 Cup Series. Kevin Bobbitt here is driving it frequently into the weeds. The car is not finalized. We're definitely still in development. So lap times may be off a little bit, cornering speeds may be off, so don't go overboard. But it is pretty close. We're doing the final tweaks on the power curve, the drag, and possibly tire grip. So, but most of it's pretty much finalized at this point. If you hit tab, it's going to bring up your first optional screen, which is your best lap. As you scroll through tab, it's going to give you your optimal lap, which is going to be your best segments all the way around the track. Different tracks are broken up into different quantities, different segments of varying length. Optimal sector is if you want to work on a segment at a time. as opposed to a completed lap time. While Kevin's getting up to speed here, just left the pits, we're going to get an idea about how the bar works. You'll see this grayed out area, and once he finishes the first segment, we're going to start seeing numbers pop up. Again, it doesn't start until you finish a segment. Right now, it's red, which means he's slower than his previous best through this segment. He's also a 0.3 of a second slower than the previous. But notice it's going green, and it's still in the slower side of things. It just means he's carrying more speed than his previous best through that segment. Now he's actually carrying more speed through West Bend as well, so it's gone green because he's carrying more speed, and he's now faster than his previous best. Now all he needs to do is make a mistake, and there, we just saw it flash red, so he's a little bit slower at the apex than previously, but he's still improving his time overall. The way this works, to tune your driving to best effect, is you want to isolate the segments where you know you're not as fast as maybe you should be or could be. For example, if he's carrying good speed through all of the track except the S's, he's carrying good speed through the uphill, through West Bend here, and through the downhill. Now, right now we're comparing to the total best lap. So he's 0.3 of a second faster than, or slower than he's ever been. So he's going to be slow at this point, I'd say, based on his timing. But what you can do is you can break it down by sector to figure out where you're slow overall. Okay, we now have a completed lap, and as we have 4 full segments, which is all this track has, your optimum, which is right now your combination of all your best times, is a 1:03.4. It's just what you've managed to complete so far in each segment. And as you look on the segment time here, it'll show up here that you're improving your lap by a second. It'll move to the right when you're doing well, and it'll be green. Right to the right means you're going faster than your previous best. In the best lap segment, it'll complete that for the entire lap. Whereas if you have against your optimal, it'll change. And if you do the segment or sector timing, it'll actually break it up into individual sectors. And each sector, you can specify or focus on the best performance in that sector. So while you mess up sector 1, you still have sector 2, 3, and 4 you can work on to improve your lap time overall. We're on our optimal sectors screen here that we've selected. We've established that Kevin is slow pretty much everywhere, but mostly in the left-hander and right-hander combination called the S's at Lime Rock. So we've got him now on the sector timing. So now each segment he's going to get a new time. It's going to reset to 0. As it goes negative, it means he's actually improving his lap time. He's a 1/4 of a second faster than he had been previously. And it's also in the green up in the bar, so that also means he's carrying more speed. That's really the thing to look for, is even if it's going red, occasionally, by braking early, you'll hit the red early on the way into the corner, but the staying in racing is slow in, fast out. So you can give up time because you didn't late brake everybody and give up your exit speed. So if you brake early and you get on the power early, very often you'll see it go red on the way in, but then as you exit the turn, it'll move to the right and go green, and hopefully a negative or green number in this case. Okay, so I was talking about session best lap and how to use it in a race. The reality is this is just going to keep track of your lap times. In a race, you're going to use the F3 screen, which is your relative position, which when you're alone doesn't show anything, but it'll give you your separation front to back between the people around you. As those numbers change, you can worry about your lap times improving or slowing. And that'll give you a reference of how you're doing on a whole. All that does is tell you where you are position-wise on the track, and this will tell you how you're doing speed-wise. So those are 2 ways you can monitor your progress through a race.
iRacing partnered with Lance Armstrong's Livestrong Foundation to help raise money to fight cancer. iRacing pledged 5 cents per completed lap for every competitor that entered. An amazing 345 drivers ran the full length of the simulated Brickyard 400 at the fabled Indianapolis Motor Speedway and managed to complete a total number of 38,568 laps. Including donations by some iRacing members and the iRacing community, we managed to raise over $6,740. PSR TV donated their time and effort to broadcast the top split of the racing action. Once again, here's Tom Beattie with the call.
Back on July 21st, as a part of the iRacing World Tour, iRacing partnered up for an amazing event that would simulate the real-life Brickyard 400 to raise money for the Lance Armstrong Livestrong Foundation for Cancer Research. iRacing pledged to donate 5 cents per racing lap for everyone who wanted to participate. 345 drivers showed up and qualified, and PSR TV was proud to be asked to televise the top split. Sitting on pole, Eugene Mozganov has some very prestigious company with many of the top contenders in the iRacing Drivers' World Championship and some relative newcomers joining him in the top split. We begin by jumping ahead of to lap 100 of this 160-lap event. Josh Connors has the lead after the pit stops from Stephen Gilbert and Brian Blackford back on lap 88. We can see the gap between him and second place, the highest I-rated driver in the field, Dustin McGrew, carrying the #1 plate today. But right behind him is Alexei Loma, and behind him is a tight fight between Henrik Carlson and Cyril Nussbaum. Side by side into turn 1, Carlson will move to the inside and take the spot from Nussbaum as they head down the back straightaway. We also take a look at Pat Dodson, who's done a great job of fighting his way all the way up to 6th place from an early crash and reset that had him back as far as 29th. 31 laps remain after a series of yellow flags, but a long stretch of green flag racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Alexei Loma now leads after a very up and down day. Dustin McGrew doing well, still in second place after but being tailed by Connors. Connors gets a good draft on the exit of turn number 2, but he'll have to lift and can't make the pass because of traffic right here headed into turn number 3. Instant replay jumping away to show a lazy spin by John Wilkins in 11th place. Smoking the tires, tapping the wall, brings out another yellow. On the restart, lap 133, Rick Savage, who started 21st and was as far back as 29th, leads the field. Dustin McGrew on the outside. On board with Dodson as he drops a spot from 7th to 8th on the restart to Nussbaum. Right there in car number 12 on his left, Brian Blackford right there also drops a spot. Dodson would drop from 7th to 14th in this one lap, but would manage a top 10 by the race end. Onboard Connors in 5th. He struggles unsuccessfully to hold off pole sitter Mozganov. Mozganov would finish 3rd on the day. One more restart with only 6 to go. Josh Connor in the Hellman's Mayonnaise car on the pole, followed by Blackford, Eloma, Nussbaum. These drivers know it's go time. Blackford on the inside, Eloma on the outside. Blackford takes 2nd, but Mozganov will snatch away right here on the left. 4th place from Nussbaum. There he goes. More banging around in the second group behind the leaders. But on the left-hand side of your screen, watch as Alexei Loma smokes his tires both into turn 3 and into turn 4. He'll let the freight train go by. Lose 2 spots there. Nussbaum would tag the wall though in the short chute, and Loma would take a spot back. So much action on the track, we have to split the real-time battle for the lead on the left between Connors and Blackford. Battle for third place between Moscanoff and Aloma on the right-hand side of your screen. The race has been non-stop action from the drop of the green flag. Hasn't let up one bit. Blackford desperately trying to get a good draft and a good run on Connors for the lead. Musganoff, Nussbaum, Iloma, McGrew all fighting to get up to the front in that second place group on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll watch as they head down the front straightaway across the fabled yard of bricks. Nose to tail into turn one. 2 cars for the lead, no less than 5 cars in the second pack. But on your left, Brian Blackford gets the draft off Connors in the south chute, takes the lead with only 5 laps to go. And back in 10th place, though, another yellow. This one caused by a solo spin from Brian Hartford, who hasn't pitted in the lap since lap 139. Oh, tags the wall. Unfortunately, collects Joel Guez and George Granello in the process. Tough break for those drivers we watch from onboard Guez's car. Ouch. That's a tough break so late in the race. So as seems to be the norm here at iRacing, we finish under yellow in an oval race. It's an unfortunate side effect to the close, hard racing we get here on iRacing. A good race by all. Here are the top 10 of the top split. Congratulations to Brian Blackford and all the participating drivers in the end. iRacing was able to raise over $6,700 to benefit the Livestrong Foundation, and the entire PSR TV crew donated their appearance fees as well. I'm Tom Beatty for iRacing TV.
Before we finish this episode, I'd like to thank everyone who's contributed to iRacing TV to put this program together. We really appreciate your help. And thanks to all of you for watching this episode of iRacing TV. We look forward to providing you another new fresh episode next month. We hope you'll join us.